The Art of Maxing Out by Wisdom Matrix 1111. Introduction. Everyone wants to live life to the fullest, but how do you max out your life? It's not about doing everything all at once or chasing every opportunity. There are essential keys that help you unlock your true potential and live your purpose. When you understand these keys, you can begin to experience life at a whole new level. So let's dive in and explore what it takes to max out your life. Chapter 1. Solitude is the way. Solitude is not an escape from life. It is where life becomes clear. When you remove the noise, other people's opinions, expectations, and constant distractions, you begin to hear something that is usually buried underneath it all. Yourself. Not the version shaped by society, not the version trying to impress or fit in, but the quiet, honest voice within you. And that is where maxing out your life truly begins. In solitude, your level of self-awareness naturally deepens. You start to notice your patterns, how you think, how you react, what truly excites you, and what quietly drains your energy. You begin to see the difference between what you genuinely want and what you've been conditioned to want. This is the essence of know thyself. If you don't know who you are, your authentic self, everything you build will feel slightly off. You may achieve things, chase goals, even succeed by the world's standards, but deep down, something will feel misaligned. Solitude corrects that. It brings you back to your center. Through solitude, you come to know yourself more deeply. Know thyself. Without this foundation, it is impossible to truly max out your life, because you would be building a life that doesn't fully belong to you. Solitude is also where you reconnect with your authentic direction. Your real goals don't come from pressure. They don't come from comparison. They reveal themselves in moments of stillness. Sometimes it happens when you're alone in nature, away from the artificial pace of modern life. Sometimes it comes through quiet reflection, journaling, or simply sitting with your thoughts without needing to escape them. Even music, when experienced alone, can become a gateway into deeper understanding. The form doesn't matter as much as the intention. What matters is that you create space where nothing is pulling you away from yourself. But solitude is often misunderstood. Many people confuse it with loneliness. Loneliness is the absence of connection. Solitude is the presence of yourself. And when you learn how to be alone in the right way, something powerful happens. You stop feeling empty in your own company. You begin to enjoy it. Your inner conversations become richer. Your reflections become clearer. Your mind becomes a place you actually want to spend time in. Instead of constantly seeking distraction, you start to appreciate stillness. And over time, you become your own companion. This is where maturity and discernment are built, not through constant external input, but through internal clarity. When you spend enough time in solitude, you develop a sharper sense of what is right for you and what is not. You become less easily influenced, less reactive, and more intentional in your decisions. You don't just follow paths, you choose them consciously. And that changes everything, because a life that is consciously chosen is a life that can be fully lived. Solitude, at its core, is the practice of being yourself without interruption. It's where you learn to accept who you are, refine who you are, and eventually align your life with that truth. Over time, something subtle but important changes. The impulse to constantly adjust yourself for approval weakens, and the distance between who you are and how you live begins to close. Instead of moving without direction, there is a clearer sense of where you stand and how you want to move forward. If you want to max out your life, you don't start by doing more. It begins with understanding who you actually are beneath the noise and influences around you. And solitude is the way. Chapter 2. Bring forth what's within. If you bring forth what's within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you don't bring forth what's within you, what you don't bring forth will destroy you. The Gospel of Thomas, saying 70. There's something that doesn't sit right when you know there's more in you, but it never comes out. It doesn't always show up in obvious ways. Life can still look fine on the surface, steady, reasonable, even comfortable. But underneath that, there's often a quiet tension, a sense that something is being held back, not fully expressed, not fully lived. It's subtle, but it lingers, and over time, it becomes harder to ignore. Once you've spent enough time away from the noise, long enough to hear your own thoughts in solitude, you begin to notice more than just who you are. You also become aware of what wants to move, take shape, and be brought into reality. What's within you, whether you call it passion, desire, a goal, or a sense of purpose, needs direction. On its own, it's just potential. It can inspire you, excite you, even give you moments of clarity. As Napoleon Hill stated, desire is the starting point of all achievement, but desire alone doesn't carry you very far. Without direction, it spreads itself thin. It moves from one thing to another, creating moments of excitement, but very little that actually lasts. Direction is what changes that. It gives shape to what you feel internally and begins to turn it into something real. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can start as a simple decision. This is what I want to explore, build, or move toward. From there, it becomes clearer through action, by testing, adjusting, and learning along the way. In that sense, direction is not something you fully figure out before you begin. It's something you develop as you move. There will be moments where the next step isn't obvious, where the outcome isn't guaranteed, where things don't unfold as expected. It won't always feel certain. The path doesn't reveal itself all at once, and that's part of the process. Have faith and courage in the direction you've chosen. Faith is not blind belief, but an inner trust, the willingness to move forward even when the outcome is unclear. When you begin to channel what feels authentic to you, there will always be uncertainty, no clear guarantees, no perfectly mapped path. Faith is what allows you to continue anyway. It's the understanding that not everything meaningful can be calculated in advance, that some things reveal themselves only after you begin. But faith alone is not enough. Courage is required because expressing what is truly yours often means stepping outside of what is familiar. It may not always be accepted, it may not always be understood, and sometimes it may even fail. That's the part people don't like to face. But avoiding that risk comes at a cost, the cost of never fully expressing what you were capable of. Over time, that cost becomes heavier than failure itself. Another essential quality in bringing forth what's within you is consistency. Bringing something out of yourself is not a one-time effort. It depends on consistency. Desire may spark the beginning, but it doesn't carry things very far on its own. What makes the difference is the ability to return to the same direction repeatedly, even when the initial energy fades. Not every day feels productive. Some days feel slow, uncertain, or uneventful. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. It simply means the process is unfolding in its own time. Consistency is what holds that process together. It allows you to stay with something long enough to shape it, to refine it, to understand it more clearly. Instead of constantly starting over, you build on what's already there. Remember, when your actions are connected to something that genuinely matters to you, consistency stops feeling like something forced. It becomes a natural extension of that connection, a commitment to keep going, even when progress isn't immediately visible. And underneath all of this is determination, a deeper layer than motivation. Motivation rises and falls. Determination remains. It's what keeps you anchored when excitement fades, when doubt appears, when distractions pull at you from every direction. It's the steady decision to stay with it when you know it matters to you. What you bring forth from within you doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. It could be a path, a craft, a vision, a way of living, a contribution, something that reflects your authentic nature rather than imitation. When what's within you starts to take shape in a clear direction, something shifts internally. The sense of being pulled in different directions begins to fade. The gap between who you are and how you live becomes smaller. Instead of feeling scattered or divided, there's a growing sense of alignment with your natural state of being. This is how you begin to max out your life, not by chasing everything, but by committing to what is truly yours. A life that feels fully lived isn't built from random pursuits, but from a clear connection between what you carry within and how you move in the world. When those two are no longer separate, what's inside you gradually takes form in reality. Ultimately, bringing forth what's within you doesn't just express who you are, it also shapes who you become. Chapter 3. The State of Flow. You've probably heard phrases like, go with the flow or follow the flow, but what do they actually point to? As Bruce Lee said, be like water, my friend. Water doesn't fight the shape of what it encounters. It doesn't resist reality. It meets it, moves with it, and still finds its way forward. That is the essence of flow. And when applied to your life, it changes how you experience everything. Life tends to work better when what you do comes from a state of flow. Most people try to control life too tightly. They fix themselves into rigid routines, rigid expectations, rigid identities. And when something doesn't go according to plan, they feel thrown off, frustrated, disconnected. But life doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in rhythms, in changes, in unexpected turns. If you are too rigid, you break. If you are flexible, you adapt. And in that adaptation, you stay in motion. To live in flow is not to drift without direction, it's to move with awareness. There is intention behind what you do. There are goals, a sense of direction. But instead of forcing every step, there's room to adjust along the way. You respond to what's in front of you, rather than reacting impulsively. You adapt when needed, without losing your essence. This is where flow becomes something practical, something lived, not just understood. It can show up in something as simple as how you shape your days. Doing the same thing in the same way, day after day, can gradually drain your energy. Not because the actions themselves are wrong, but because the experience begins to lose its vitality. Flow requires freshness. You don't always need to change what you do. Sometimes you just change how you do it, or you change the sequence of what you do, or simply how you perceive it. Even a small change can bring flow back into your day. Part of that change often comes from how you see what you're doing. Your perception plays a deeper role than you think. How you see something determines how you feel about it, and how you feel influences how you act. Two people can do the same task. One feels drained, the other feels engaged. The difference is not always the task itself, but the meaning they attach to it. Flow begins in the mind before it appears in action. When you learn to shift your perspective, you change your internal state. And when your internal state changes, your actions become lighter, more natural, more aligned. But flow is not only about movement, it is also about release. You cannot flow while holding on too tightly, holding on to past mistakes, holding on to outcomes, holding on to things that no longer serve you. All of this creates resistance, and resistance blocks flow. Letting go is not weakness, it's strength and intelligence. It means you recognize when something has reached its end. You take what it taught you, and you move forward without dragging unnecessary weight behind you. In this way, flow becomes a form of freedom. You are not stuck trying to control everything. You are not desperate for things to go exactly your way. You are present, responsive, and open. Flow tends to break down when there's too much attachment to a specific outcome. When everything depends on one result, a certain tension builds. Attention narrows, actions become strained, and what you do starts to feel forced rather than natural. A different quality emerges when there's more openness in how you act. The intention is still there. You move forward, you stay engaged, but without tying your sense of ease to how things must turn out. That shift creates more space, mentally and emotionally. From that space, actions become clearer, more flexible and more effective. There's less pressure and at the same time, a higher level of presence in what you're doing. Ultimately, the state of flow isn't something you find once. It's something you maintain through awareness, through flexibility, and through the way you move through your days. Over time, as this becomes more natural, life no longer feels like something you have to push through. It becomes something you move with, and in that movement, you're not just going through life, you're living in a state of flow. Next, Chapter 4. Protect your energy field. Your energy field, sometimes referred to as your magnetic field or as your aura in more spiritual contexts, describes the subtle influence you carry and extend beyond your physical presence. Your energy field is the total atmosphere you carry within and around you, your thoughts, emotions, nervous system responses, and the subtle way you affect and are affected by everything around you. It's not just an abstract idea. It's something you can feel. Walk into a room after an argument and you sense it immediately. Spend time with someone deeply calm or inspired and you feel that too. Whether someone uses scientific terms or spiritual ones, the core idea is the same. You are not isolated from your environment. You are in constant exchange with it. And this is exactly why protecting your energy field matters, especially if your intention is to max out your life. Your choices and decisions are influenced, both consciously and subconsciously, by what you are exposed to every day. If your energy is constantly pulled in different directions, clouded by negativity, comparison, or pressure, your decisions will reflect that confusion. Rather than moving with intention, you tend to react to circumstances. Remember, energy is contagious. Not just mentally and emotionally, but also physically over time. Spend enough time around people who are constantly negative, and your own thoughts gradually start to mirror that tone. This isn't theory, it's observation. Your system absorbs what it repeatedly experiences, and it goes deeper than just people. It applies to everything you take in. You're not just what you eat, you are what you feed all of your senses. What you watch, what you listen to, what you read, what you scroll through, what you repeatedly expose your mind to. All of it is input, and every input leaves a trace. When you consistently consume negativity, whether it's chaotic information, shallow distractions, or emotionally draining content, you are, in a sense, programming your internal state. You are feeding your nervous system signals that shape how you feel, how you think, and how you respond to life. Over time, this doesn't just affect your mood. It can influence your focus, your energy levels, your habits, even your physical state. Your body responds to what your mind repeatedly processes. Stress, tension, fatigue, illness. They don't appear randomly. They are often the result of accumulated internal patterns. So protecting your energy field becomes a form of self-respect. It means becoming aware, honestly aware of what supports your growth and what slowly weakens it. Not everything deserves access to you. Not every environment carries the same effect. That's why protecting your energy field matters, because not everything you're exposed to supports the kind of life you're trying to build. And maxing out your life is not just about exposure to life, but about learning what to stay close to and what to step away from. Protecting your energy field doesn't mean withdrawing from the world. It's about becoming more intentional within it. You cultivate a steady awareness of everything around you, like which conversations leave you feeling clearer and which leave you drained, which environments elevate you and which lower your standard, which inputs sharpen your mind and which scatter it. And from that awareness, your choices align more closely with your authentic self. Protecting your energy field is about alignment. You choose what aligns with your natural state of being, what supports your authentic direction, and what strengthens your inner state, rather than what fragments it. When your inner world becomes clearer, the outer world naturally begins to align with it. At a deeper level, maxing out your life is not defined by what you do alone, but by the state from which those actions arise. That state is shaped daily by the energy you allow to enter, remain, and grow within you. This is the essence of protecting your energy field. Chapter 5. The principle of how you do one thing. How you do one thing is how you do everything. At first, it might seem almost too simple to be significant, but dig a little deeper, and you'll find that this principle speaks volumes about your personal standards. The way you do even the smallest task isn't just about completing it. It reflects your commitment to quality, your sense of integrity, and the standards you hold yourself to. It shows how much care you put into everything you do, whether it's something important or seemingly trivial. Over time, these small actions accumulate. They aren't isolated. They shape the larger outcomes in your life. They set the standard for everything you achieve. If you want to max out your life, this principle becomes a powerful anchor. Do your best consistently, not only when something excites you, not only when the outcome is important, but even in the ordinary, the unnoticed, the seemingly insignificant, because that's where your true standard is built. There will be things in your life that you actually don't like to do, things that aren't really your thing, or things you would rather avoid, like tasks that feel routine, responsibilities you don't choose, moments that don't feel meaningful at first. But how you handle them still says something important about your quality, integrity, and standards. You can do them carelessly, rushing through just to get them done, or you can bring a level of intention, presence, and quality into them. Not perfection, but your best within that moment. This principle goes deeper than how you perform in a single moment. It shows up in the patterns you repeat, the way you start something and whether you follow through, the way you commit and whether you keep that commitment. For example, it's easy to feel excited in the beginning. You plan to go for walks, go to the gym, build a habit, you feel fired up. But a few weeks later, that energy fades, and so does the action, or the habit of saying, "I'll do it later." But later turns into delay, delay turns into avoidance, and eventually it's forgotten. And that's the thing. You're not what you say you will do. You are what you actually do. These are behavior patterns, and patterns reveal something deeper. Your behavior patterns reflect your level of integrity, your standards, your consistency, your ability to follow through. And that is what determines your results. If you observe people with great success, outstanding achievements, or deeply fulfilling lives, you'll often notice something consistent about them. They don't treat small things lightly. They're applying this principle, whether consciously or not, carrying a certain standard into everything they do. It may look natural, but underneath it is a pattern. This principle may seem effortless, but there's a system behind it. Attention to detail, care in execution, and a refusal to be sloppy in actions. For some, it's in their nature, an inherent trait they've always had. For others, it's something they've built over time or something they need to develop. When you apply this principle consistently, details matter more than most people realize. Not because each small detail is important on its own, but because of what they become when accumulated. A single careless action may not mean much, but repeated carelessness becomes a habit, and habits shape outcomes. In the same way, small acts of attention, repeated over time, build something solid, refined, and reliable. Amazing things are rarely created in one moment. They are built detail by detail through consistent standards. You can see this principle in everyday life. Look at how you clean or organize your space. Do you rush through it, leaving things half done? Or do you bring order and clarity into it? Look at how you take care of yourself. Do you treat your body and mind with intention or only when it becomes necessary? Look at how you complete simple tasks. Do you finish them properly or leave loose ends behind? These moments may seem small, but they are not separate from who you are becoming, and who you are becoming directly reflects how you max out your life. You don't need to be perfect in everything you do, but you can be intentional. By gradually raising your standards and bringing more presence and care into your actions, things begin to change. Trust in yourself deepens, and a sense of integrity starts to shape the way you live. Momentum builds, not from occasional bursts of effort, but from a consistent commitment to your values and goals. Maxing out your life is built through small, consistent actions, not just big decisions or major breakthroughs. In the end, one essential key to maxing out your life is how you apply the principle of how you do one thing to every aspect of your life, every day. Each moment, each decision adds to your overall success. Finally, Chapter 6, Contemplating Mortality. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. Marcus Aurelius. There's something profoundly grounding about contemplating your own mortality. It has a way of cutting through the noise and distractions, pushing you to examine life in its rawest form. And yet, so many of us ignore it, especially when we're young. Youth often comes with an intoxicating sense of invincibility. The feeling that life stretches endlessly ahead, that time is infinite and ours to waste. But this sense of eternity, this belief that we'll live forever, an unconscious belief for many, is often just a protective illusion. It blinds us to reality, leading us to take things for granted and let precious moments slip by unnoticed. You don't have to wait until you grow old to face your mortality. Life, by its very nature, is unpredictable. You never know when the end might come. It doesn't matter how old you are, your time could be up at any moment. And that awareness, knowing that your time is finite, has the potential to change everything. Contemplating your mortality isn't about creating fear. It's about unlocking a deeper appreciation for the present. When you understand that you won't be here forever, every moment becomes more valuable. Every day stops feeling like a repeat of the last, each one no longer slipping into the monotony of time passing by. Instead, you see each day for what it truly is, a tiny, precious lifetime of its own. Think about the simple things. That evening cappuccino you enjoy. Picture it, the warmth in your hands, the steam rising from the cup, the comfort it brings. One day, that could be your last cup of coffee. When you walk into your favorite place, whether it's a park, a cafe, or just a room that makes you feel at peace, make sure you soak it in fully. You never know, it could be your last time standing in that space, breathing in its essence. But the most important moments? They're the ones spent with the people or pets that truly matter to you. Your family, your close friends, or maybe your beloved dogs and cats. If you're lucky enough to have them in your life, cherish those moments. Each one could be the last memory you create with them in this lifetime. Those quiet evenings spent together, those conversations, those shared laughs, they're all fleeting. Life has a way of shifting in an instant, and it's easy to take these relationships for granted until they're no longer there. It's not just the big events or grand achievements that make life meaningful. It's the little, often overlooked moments that, when seen through the lens of mortality, shine the brightest. The feeling of leaving a place knowing you won't come back the same. The person who remembers something small you said months ago. a message that arrives at exactly the right moment. The way a dog looks at you like nothing else matters. Contemplating mortality calls attention to these moments, reminding you to savor them, to never let them slip by unnoticed. So why is remembering that you're mortal such a critical part of maxing out your life? Because it forces you to stop and really live. When you understand that time is not a guarantee, you learn to value the present. You start living with awareness, purpose, and gratitude. You become conscious of the fleeting nature of things and embrace every experience, no matter how small, as something sacred. It's in that awareness that you begin to truly maximize your life. You no longer waste time on trivial pursuits or things that don't serve your greater purpose. You make deliberate choices, engage fully with your experiences, and appreciate the people and moments that truly matter. So, take a moment. Contemplate your mortality, not with fear, but with the profound realization that each day, each breath, each connection is a gift. Max out your life. Live deeply, explore fully, and cherish every moment. Because in the end, it's not just about how long you live, but how much you truly live while you're here. So there you have it, the art of maxing out, from finding strength in solitude to contemplating mortality. I hope these keys to maxing out your life resonate with you and offer something valuable. Thank you for tuning in to Wisdom Matrix 1111. If you haven't already, please support the channel by subscribing, liking the video, and sharing it with someone who might need to hear this wisdom. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, go live your life and max out. Peace.